Squadbusters has only been out for a couple weeks, and I kind of can't believe we're already asking this question, but is Squadbusters as a game in danger of getting busted? If you get a look at the Google Play reviews, they have 147,000 reviews with a 2.7 average review score, which can't possibly be what the folks at Supercell were hoping for when they published this game. Even some of Supercell's larger creators, like Molt, he's got like, what, 2.5 million subscribers, made a video pointing out some of the flaws that exist in the game. So I happen to have played almost 2,500 games, and if you do some math around how much time that means I've played, I've logged probably over 200 hours, especially when you account for things like thinking about the game for making videos, and then also editing and recording and all that stuff. So I put a lot of thought into this game, and it's kind of insane how much time I've spent since the global launch of the game. And I can summarize the problems very succinctly, and I'll present these problems as constructively as I possibly can, with the hope that some of these things will ultimately be addressed. The three biggest problems with Squadbusters that they're facing right now: pay to win, progression, and purpose. And by the way, if you're subscribed to my channel, you know I always have timestamps, so you can jump to whichever part of the video you're most interested in, okay? Let's start with pay to win. There's a couple ways that pay to win manifests in a mobile game, but in this mobile game, there are two main vehicles. One is pay to win toward your account progression, things that you have permanently. And the other, which is a new experience for me in a Supercell game. I played Clash Royale a little bit, a while ago, but what's new to me is things you can pay for that you consume within a match that only bestow a benefit within the match that you're playing. That kind of pay to win I'm not accustomed to in a Supercell game, and it does dramatically change your chances of winning a matchup. This is in the form of dice and keys. They actually used to also have megas as a very pay-to-win mechanic, but it does give me hope that the developers have rebalanced megas twice now, although I do wonder, are they looking at the keys? And there's a weird phenomena that happens here, and you don't have to take my word for this. Just look at my live stream chat and the things that they're saying. I've been streaming the game almost every single day since the game went live for the global launch, and the animosity toward keys is very obvious and palpable. I often find myself avoiding using keys, or at least I was, and then I'd lose to someone and I'd say, oh, well, maybe they're keying. And I don't know. I don't like having excuses for why I win or lose, but whether or not you use keys is a big deal. And it's almost like saying they were cheating, but it isn't cheating. It's in the game, and it's very toxic as a feeling to be thinking that other players are cheating even though it's not cheating. So in order to maintain my leaderboard position, which is top 50, and combat other people that are all almost certainly keying, I am now also keying a bunch, and then I can remove that as an excuse to be like, oh, well, they use keys. But all of that experience is not amazing, and the players that are free to play and low spenders are not able to get these keys and are not able to compete, and they use them if they have to, but well, your chances are pretty rough against someone who is popping those keys proactively at every opportunity. This doesn't even get into the rerolls, which are way more powerful than you would think, and although they are way cheaper, it is still a thing that you can buy. The solution I would ultimately implement here toward this aspect of pay to win is to ultimately just remove it, because I don't think that if you want to have a game that's super competitive, it makes a lot of sense to have these consumables. I get that at the top end, everybody will just be using them, and so we say, well, it's competitive among the people that are in the top because they're all using the consumables, but I think the feel bad here is not worth whatever the financial upside might be, and I would probably just put them into a mod where everybody gets the same amount of keys at the same time and call it a day. I think that these consumables are awfully powerful. I suppose you could just tone down their power level to make them less necessary, but even then, I think within match boosting in this way is probably, look at the comments. It's a non-trivial part of the reason that people are dropping the ratings of the game. The next thing we need to talk about is progression, and progression really comes in two forms. There's unlocking units and evolving units. And unlocking units lacks a little bit of transparency and is kind of slow. When I was first attempting to unlock new units in the game, I didn't just go buy them. I just tried to open chests and unlock them because I thought, oh, well, if I open a rare chest, I've got an equal chance of getting this new rare as I do the rares I already have, right? Why wouldn't it be the same chances? I didn't know that it was any different. And the point I'm trying to make here is that it would be good if it was a little more forthcoming about hey, you actually have a 1% chance and we open a rare chest. I don't know what the number is. That like illustrates my point here. I still don't even know what the chances are that if you have a unit that is unlockable and you haven't unlocked it yet, what are the chances you're going to get it when you open a chest? Couldn't tell you. But I think that this really hinders the enjoyment of the game for free-to-play and low spenders especially. The speed to gain access to these new units is really a big deal. And while I get that over time earning things is big, I think what would be more helpful is that if it was going to take forever, rather than being a binary like you have it or you don't have it, you'd get incremental progress toward the unlock in the same way that you need babies towards a classic, classics towards a super, and supers towards an ultra. And I'm not saying that that's necessarily a particularly satisfying experience at the top end, and I'll explain that in a second. But the point I'm trying to make here is that when you get these unlocks today, it's like either you did get it or you didn't get it. Something more incremental. If it's going to be slow, it'd be nice. Or just make it fast for people to unlock the units. Because we already know that the grind to get that unit to Ultra is going to be long for a lot of people. But let's talk about that now. The grind to Ultra units is slow. And for epic units and rares, it's actually impossible to grind from chest tickets. You're going to have to spend money. And as you saw in my video, where I spent $1.5 grand to max out my account, I have everything at the Ultra tier. And I also played a ton of games in a win spree. By the way, I opened up a ton of chest tickets to reduce the cost of what I thought it would ultimately be to max out my account. The problem is that once you get to all your commons at the Ultra tier, you can't open chest tickets anymore. So your progression all but stops unless you want to spend money. And to me, it feels very obvious that the developers are going to add another progression system into the game, or even an overflow progression system, because this bug is something that was reported during the regional launch of the game. It's like been around for a long time, over a month. I think people have been kind of talking about it. So my suspicion is that there's no way in which Supercell would launch a game and like intend to leave the progression system dangling in this way for an extended period. I think they are almost certainly launching a fast follow to fix this. So much so that I worry, like, when I make this video and record it the night before, will it still be relevant the next day, or am I gonna wake up to a news section that's like, hey, new progression system? I guess we'll find out. But I think it's coming soon, because there's just no way that it will be left dangling in this way. Even if the common chests let you open them anyways, and you got like hammers for cosmetics, it will be amazing. When you open the chest in the center of your town, you get 1 gold, and it's like converting elixir to gold or something weird pops up on the screen. So like, obviously there's something else that's got to be here, and I think the developers probably were just prioritizing other things for the global launch, and I suspect they will get to this soon. Which brings us to purpose. Overall, why am I playing the game? And it might sound weird, because aren't you just playing the game because it's fun? And like, yes, it is very fun. But also, I play games for collection, and also, right now, something you can do is play the game for leaderboard pushing. But like, that's not really a reason why I play the game. So what purpose is there beyond myself? And the thing I'm pointing at here is that the game doesn't yet have community in a way that I would expect this game to have. And I bet you, I would guarantee you that this is on its way at some point, that there will be clans and maybe, I mean, gosh, 2v2, V2 would be so fun. I cannot even, if done well, it will be so hype. Some kind of alliance event where like you're all fighting against a boss, or all fighting like alliance versus alliance. There are so many things that I think the game could do with purpose. Things that are beyond me playing my account, that gives me reason to be a part of the game and part of a community. Crucial. And maybe this is just because I come from city building war games where you have communities of 100 plus, upwards of 1,000 plus players that are all working together toward objectives, that I feel very strongly the absence of community in this way. The closest thing we have is Pinata Party. I'm like, pinatas are cool, but like adding a couple friends and seeing what they do. I mean, if you think that is good and you think players are reacting positively to that, just wait until some sort of clan system comes into this game. I think it's coming. I don't know what it looks like, but I think it could be very cool. So where does this leave us? This leaves us in a weird place. People are obviously dropping reviews on the game that are not amazing. And I think there's really a 0% chance that Supercell is happy with a 2.7 average review on the game, right? Like there ain't no way that when they thought we're gonna hit publish, they'd get that kind of review, right? Which means a couple things are probably happening. One is the developers are receiving this feedback and figuring out what to do. And hopefully when they take action, it will be right action, right? Like we saw this happen with Megas, where they were super pay to win and too frequent. And now they are a great comeback mechanic. If anything, sometimes a little bit too generous, I feel, in giving someone a mega, where it's like, you're having a fair fight with somebody, and then all of a sudden they get a mega in the middle of the fight, and it's like, I'm dead. It's over. This has happened to me a couple times now. But I guess what I'm trying to say is the developers have done this once, where they go in and they balance. And will the game over time improve and improve and improve? I'm inclined to believe it will, but I'm kind of newish to Supercell as a player. I mean, I did a little bit of Clash Royale, but we're talking like a month or 2 or maybe 3 of gameplay before I ultimately moved on to other games. So let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. Where is Squad Busters going? Is the game in danger of getting busted? I think the answer here is that there's probably enough of an audience that the game's got some runway here to figure out, hey, what are we doing next? And make some really great changes. I think that with these changes, the game could be in a great spot. If they removed the keying and focused all progression on instead account growth, instead of pay to win going toward within match Ws. If they go in and they create progression systems that are maybe more incremental and transparent for unlocks, and also, more incremental in gains as you're working towards higher evolutions would also be really nice. Like, you almost need not 5 tiers, but like 10 tiers of progression on units. I don't know what will be in the new tiers, but it feels like faster iterative progression will be nice. Like that ultra tier jump is, oh man. And then lastly, purpose. And I think a lot of this stuff has got to be on the way. So now we just wait and see. And hopefully, I mean, in some ways it'd be a real blessing if I have to cancel this video and instead talk about an update where it's like, hey, the developers are releasing this thing. But I guess we'll find out. Subscribe to see what happens next. I'll certainly be covering it. And if you want to see a little bit more information about exactly how much I spent to get my ultras and what I felt the next day after having done it, check the cards in the end screen.